Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer. Welcome to Breeders' Cup Focus. In this week's edition, we're going to take a look at the top contenders for the Breeders' Cup Sprint. Pre-entries drawn for the Breeders' Cup on Wednesday. Let's take a look at the top contenders right now as ranked by preliminary odds from Daily Racing Form. And Mike, the story of this division all year long has been the brilliant 3-year-old Jackie's Warrior, a prohibitive favorite on the preliminary DRF line.
Yeah, I guess as he should be. I mean, I suppose he'll be one of the bigger favorites over the 2 days of the Breeders' Cup. Dan, he's just been really strong and very impressive since day one. This horse.
If you ask Steve Asmussen if he could have found an easier prep than the Gallant Bob, he probably would have said no. Let's watch that race at Parks on Pennsylvania Derby Saturday. Jackie's Warrior just facing completely overmatched competition. He faced token pace pressure for the first quarter mile and is winning this in the manner of a morning breeze. He didn't exert a lot of energy in his final prep.
No, he didn't. I mean, I guess in some ways you could say that's perfect to set him up for the Breeders' Cup. Dan, he got did what he needed to do to beat that field very easily, and it's not like he hasn't had some harder races already this year. So I don't really feel like he needed a stiff test leading into the Breeders' Cup, and now he comes in as way the horse to beat.
The horses that are number 2 and number 4 on Daily Racing Form's list exit the Phoenix at Keeneland. Special Reserve and Aloha West. We're going to watch that race right now. Special Reserve is just a blue-collar horse. It seems like he shows up every time. He is not brilliant, but he runs triple-digit buyers just about each and every outing, and he got the jump on Aloha West, who's a lightly raced horse, Mike, that could benefit if there's some hitting up front in the Breeders' Cup.
Yeah, he can. I thought they both ran pretty well in here. Special Reserve, I guess in some ways it was a bounce back effort for him. It looked like he maybe hung in his prior race at Saratoga, but ultimately he won that race fairly easily. As you mentioned, Aloha West has a ton of upside. He's going to sit back and make one run in this race, and I can see him improving one more time at the Breeders' Cup.
Jackie's Warrior, the best 3-year-old sprinter on the East Coast. Dr. Chivelle, the best 3-year-old on the West Coast. And he is already a Grade 1 winner at Del Mar. He won the Futurity last year at 2. He missed a lot of time after that race. They've concentrated on sprinting with him this year, and it's worked out beautifully. Let's go back to his most recent start, the Santa Anita Sprint. And Mike, this is a pretty good effort considering the jock has one rein.
Yeah, it's a big step forward for this horse, and it's basically the first time in his career he was ever put on the lead. But they did put him on the lead, breaking from the rail here. He wins this race very easily. He gets a new top figure for it. It's now 5 wins in a row for this horse. And listen, Dan, I mean, Jackie's Warrior is a little faster on the way in. This horse has shown that he can sit within range of the pace though and still finish.
CZ Rocket, who's 5th on our list. This horse was 2nd in last year's Breeders' Cup Sprint. And in the Santa Anita Sprint that we just showed you, he didn't really get off to the fastest start. It wasn't like a bad break. He just was last early. He tried to get into it with a little bit of a run. He passed some tired horses. You'd have to think the pace scenario would at least be better for him in the Breeders' Cup.
He's definitely going to hope that they go fast early in here. With Jackie's Warrior going, it'll be interesting to see what everybody does there. Jackie's Warrior is going to use his speed. Who goes after him early and how early do they go after him, and how fast do they make him go? I think those are all real questions in this race. Obviously, if they press that horse, CZ Rocket might be one of the biggest beneficiaries. His last, 2 or 3 starts maybe aren't his best, but we know that he's got a race in him that would make him really tough.
Let's take a look at our next list, the 6 through 10 rankings. And we see horses that are solid. Firenze Fire, on his best day can pop a big race. He's been a little bit of an in-and-outer this year, maybe a notch below Grade 1. Flagstaff, Grade 1 winner this year at Churchill Downs, but you kind of feel the same way. Maybe against the best of the division, he's a little bit below. But they're not that far off the leaders, and if circumstances happen where, there is a bit of a pace meltdown, you could see these 2 horses.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I mean, Firenze Fire is an easy horse to root for. This is going to be his final career start. He's been around for a long time, and he's been, very competitive at the top level right since he was a 2-year-old. And he's a really cool horse. It'd be nice to see him run well on the way out. I feel like, Following C may not run here. It sounds like they're sort of on the fence. He's a talented horse with upside. I just sort of feel like Lexingtonian's the interesting horse on this, back 5 here, just because he's not very consistent, but he has a way of showing up in big spots and running big races.
at big prices, as we saw at Saratoga when he defeated Special Reserve, I believe, in the Vanderbilt. Matera Sky is the Japanese sprinter, and he's fast. And maybe he's not good enough to win. He probably isn't, but he might be at least fast enough to push Jackie's Warrior in the early portion of this race and at least give some of these closers some hope that the big 3-year-old Jackie's Warrior might not have much left in the stretch.
Yeah, I think the pace of the race is a pretty big question. We'll see what happens with Matera Sky. Even Luxitonian, when he's right and he's on his game, he shows speed.
Jackie's Warrior, the story going into the Breeders' Cup. He's been dominant this year at 3 at shorter distances for Steve Asmussen. Going to be one of the shorter priced favorites on the 2-day Breeders' Cup extravaganza.